Welcome to Inside Hilltopper Athletics, brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling. I am Todd Allum. Along with me for this first segment, head coach of West Liberty football, Roger Wiley. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We had some news come out this week. An announcement was made yesterday about your future here at West Liberty University, and Saturday is going to be your final game. Retirement, very much something that you've earned here at West Liberty University. You've been here a long time. Just talk about that a little bit.
Well, it was a tough decision, but, a lot of it came down to my own personal family and the situation. And not situation, my wife was fortunate enough to retire 5 years ago. She's, for the last 5 years, she's basically stuck in the house, we can't go anywhere because of my job. And then when we do, we got such a small window and can't return. And, I just didn't want it to be to the point where, okay, I'm going to retire, and then she couldn't do anything. And so while we're both in good health and, we can go see, I got 2 grandkids in California that are 10 and 11. I've probably seen them 7 times maybe. I don't even know, but I know it's not more than both hands. So, a lot of those things played a factor in the decision, and it wasn't, I hadn't been contemplating this for a while, but now seems to be the right time for me personally. I feel bad for my coaches because now their future's in limbo, and the only ones that aren't in limbo are actually the players. They will have a home here. West Liberty has had a philosophy of, retention. Our new president's philosophy is retention, so I can't see them just saying, okay, you guys are gone, we're recruiting 100 new guys. So, that knowing they had a place played a good part. Some places they would just get rid of everybody and get rid of the kids and coaches and everybody involved and when somebody retires. So knowing that the kids would always have a home here, hopefully, unless philosophies have changed, that's fine. That played a part, knowing that they're, so the kids that are on scholarship, they're, our philosophy here hasn't been to touch them, take them away, other than if they became ineligible. Things like that, and with the portal, you're going to lose some. But, it was the right time for me personally, where I am with my family and what I want to do. Well, I don't think it's been fair to my wife to not be able to go places. And I said something, I must have been talking in my sleep because I don't drink wine. And I said, well, maybe we'll go off to Napa. She lit up, and I was like, oh, my God. So, I don't drink wine. And so just seeing her face, though, it's kind of like a victory. So those were the reasonings behind it. It wasn't an easy decision. I love these kids. I love this institution. I wouldn't have done the things we've done here, financially, and I wouldn't have stayed here this long, because I've always been the type where if I'm not happy, I'm moving, or I'm moving on, and that's it. And it hasn't all been about money for me. It was more about personal relationships, the loyalty that people have had. And so that was why I've stayed so long. And then, now it's time for me to take care of my own business at home and making sure my wife's life, my grandchildren, I'll be up to 4 in April, my kids that, I missed a lot of things that normal parents with normal jobs don't miss. So, but no, it was time, and I have no regrets about doing it. It wasn't like when I announced it or I knew it was going to happen, I said, oh no, I made a mistake. And that's the right thing.
Well, I can tell you, at least personally for me, when I became a broadcaster here at West Liberty, I was green as grass when I first started. You were nothing but gracious and kind to me throughout this whole time, honestly, that I've been broadcasting here. So I can't thank you enough for that, and being patient with me at times. You're going to go from winning games on a football field to winning as a grandfather and a father, too. It's going to be a lot of fun. You tell some funny stories about the grandbabies, and I can't imagine how excited you are to get to that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It already started. Well, I must say, I don't retire for a few more weeks, and they got me doing stuff like I'm retired. So, no, it's all in fun. So.
Well, we'll move to this Charleston game. The Toppers went down to the state's capital. What a game it was, back and forth until the fourth quarter. Charleston was able to take over, but in this one, Cole Meisman really stepped up in this one. 21 of 32, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns for Meisman in this one. The Toppers played well throughout, just came up short in the end.
Yeah, he got to be in it for 60 minutes. It's a 60-minute game, and I looked up and there was like 9 minutes left in the game, and we were ahead actually at that point in time. And then they went down and scored, and then we kind of sputtered on our next drive, and then we did go down and score, take the lead, and they got a big return, and so that was kind of the one that broke our back, really, to say, was the big return after the touchdown. And then after that, some of them scores were trying to win the game. I could have punted the ball and said, hey, it was a close game, but, we went for it on fourth down in our territory a couple times and didn't get it, and they were able to score to make the margin that much bigger, which, that's what good teams do. And, but I was proud of the way, we fought tooth and nail. And like I said, there's, not this disparity in talent, sometimes in depth maybe at certain positions, but no, overall our kids played hard, and this game next game coming up is a rivalry game, and hopefully it won't be too hard to get them excited to play this week.
Yeah, Wheeling coming up this weekend at West Family Stadium. What's the scouting report on the Cardinals?
Offensively, they're very balanced, and they've been winning games. They've been winning close games where we've been losing close games. And so, first of all, we're going to have to try to make them somewhat one-dimensional. They have been playing a couple quarterbacks, and they're both unique. They both throw the ball decently, but the other kid, number 10, runs the ball a little bit better, and they move the pocket a little bit more with him. And so, it's kind of like last week. We had to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, and then we saw they didn't start their senior. I think he's still nursing an injury, although that was the first week that he addressed. It's going to be the same thing defensively for our defense, is to prepare for both, because they are a little bit different. For us offensively, first thing, we got to see who's healthy to determine who we're starting at quarterback. And then, we're going to have to play well up front. They've won games because they've been able to control the line of scrimmage, and then their secondary can roam and play a little faster. So, we're going to have to, and every game is won in the trenches. There's no case, and we've been in games because of those guys up front. And so we have to continue to do that. And then the bottom line, offensively, we got to do what we do best. We can't change, and I don't think anybody does this day, but we can't change everything we do because we're facing somebody. We got to go out and play and run our stuff and see how they're going to align to it. Everybody's talking about the Wildcat with Hunter at quarterback, and and we're even a little bit different with who we have playing quarterback. So they'll have to prepare for that. But the biggest thing is their special teams have been so good. We're going to have to play really, really good special teams wise, and not get a teams battle, or are you going to win the game? And so that is a prominent for us this week, and a focus like it is every week we got to be mentally prepared special teams for whatever we're going to see.
Well, Coach, I know in this one everybody's going to be fired up. Not only is it the final game of the year for the seniors on this team, it's their final game as a college football player, and now they got the announcement that this will be your final game as a head coach as well. When you told the team, what was kind of the response? And so far this week, what have you seen from them in terms of intensity and wanting to win this Saturday?
Well, we haven't practiced yet. I told them on Sunday. I think it was more of a shock than anything else. A lot of the younger players are worried about, well, am I going to have a scholarship, or is a new coach going to come in and get rid of us? And those questions, like I said, it's always been West Liberty's philosophy to retain everybody who wants to be here, but I can't speak for how it's going to go and what they're going to do. And so in this day and age, no matter if I'm here or not, the portal, there's going to be kids that are going to go into the portal, and there's not a thing you can do about it. But where I see the hurt is, we have a very talented group, and through recruiting a couple players and a couple players that have always, already called that got hurt in the spring that sat out to rehab their injuries, still want to come back. And so that's a good thing there. But, they have enough talent. Again, you see in the games, we've competed with everybody in our conferences. And, we haven't been somewhat blown out other than, and who knows what would have happened the last 12 or 13 minutes of the Concord game. That was the only real big discrepancy in scores. Showed, we played with Frostburg and going tight into the fourth quarter, and Charleston had the lead in the fourth quarter. And so, the talent level returning is here, and we're a young team. We're only going to have that play probably 3 or 4 seniors. Everybody else has the eligibility to come back. So, it's the old cliche, you want to leave somewhere better than you got it. And obviously the football team itself is better than what I got. We had to really step on and go recruit. And then, the facilities speak for themselves. Yeah. They don't have to say anything. We've redone everything in football and other places that affect the whole campus community. So, and that's probably been the most gratifying thing is seeing the return on the West family investment and other people that have been involved in the fundraising. They've seen how those numbers are, have been sustainable as far as what they build, why they built it, why they put the money into West Liberty University. And so, but as far as the players go, they got a good nucleus coming back.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch this Saturday. So many different things in mind for this coming Saturday. It's the last game of the season. It's the last game for these seniors, and it's also Coach Wiley's final game. He's going to retire afterwards. So, folks, Topper Nation, get up to West Family Stadium this coming Saturday to watch this tremendous game, Wheeling, the rivalry, everything. Coach, thank you so much for being with us again today. We will see you Saturday and next week. Again, next week we will have a special coaches show with Coach Wiley, his final one ever. So be sure to tune in next week for another edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics, and we will be right back for more.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics, brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling. I am Todd Allum. This is our men's soccer segment. Coach Regan could not be here today, so assistant coach Santiago Bruni is here with us. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well, some big moments here for the Toppers this past week. You had your second game against Wheeling of the year. At Wheeling this time, the Toppers, in dramatic fashion, it feels like, big-time dramatic fashion, get the season sweep on Wheeling, win 4-3 in the end. Describe that feeling of winning at your big rival.
It was crazy because it's a really difficult game to play, especially being already qualified, and most of our guys thinking on Sunday already, but having to play against our big rival. You always want to win that game no matter what, even if it's a scrimmage or whatever it is. So it was difficult at first. The weather didn't help at all and stuff. And then I think that we had a big talk at halftime, try to motivate our guys, and it was a quick turnaround, and we were able to get the result.
Yeah, I can't imagine the ups and downs of this game. West Liberty took the lead first, and back and forth we go. Wheeling ended up getting a 3-2 lead. The Toppers come back to tie it. What was the emotion on the sideline the whole time?
It was crazy. It was literally crazy. At one point, we didn't think we were going to have the result. They were up on us, and we weren't able to play. The weather didn't help, as I said, and being able to get the result and being pumped for Sunday was the biggest thing. I think the guys took it from there, and it was really, really, really nice feeling on the sideline.
Yeah, Scandelis gets the game winner. Incredible for that young man to get this. All three of the second half goals came within 12 and a half minutes, which even when I think of other sports similar, like maybe a hockey game, that's a lot of goals in a short amount of time. It's just incredible for this team, and what a build-up to get into that quarterfinal.
Yeah, especially for a derby. Usually derbies, they're just 1-1 games, 0-0 games. None of the teams want to lose, so they try to. But this was a different type of game. It was really a really great show, especially for the audience, because I mean, for us it's almost heart attack, you know. But for the audience, it was a great spectacle, you know.
Well, we move on. The Toppers, after that, clinch their chance or their spot in the MEC quarterfinals. They would have to travel to Point Park in Pittsburgh, get to play a playoff game in has to be the best stadium in all of the conference at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah. When we played them the last time and we barely lost 2-1, we thought ourselves, if we had to pick someone to play in quarterfinals, that would be our game. Because we wanted to play back there. We wanted revenge. Because both games in the regular season we lost, and for my opinion, we lost them by a small part that we didn't do. But the scenery is spectacle, and that's what I told the guys. We were like, we couldn't ask for a better opportunity to play soccer. This beautiful field, beautiful day, and a quarterfinal with the opportunity to make history as we did. There was nothing better, you know.
And history was made. The Toppers would win this 3-0, the clean sheet. What a tremendous job throughout this, going into this one, knowing it was playoffs. Again, history made. What were the nerves like, or was there nerves, or were these guys excited, ready to go?
It's difficult to describe because for most of them, a lot of freshmen, a lot of transfer. They didn't know what it was like. Maybe most of them their first playoff game, but we knew we could get the job done. We knew even though we lost. It's kind of difficult to describe to someone watching from the outside. You know, we lost the first two regular season games, but we knew we had it, and we did a lot of work during the week, and I think that helped the confidence to the team to know that we could do the job. You know.
And again, a 3-0 victory for the Toppers in this one, huge to get the shutout, confidence builder to the max. Again, as this game went on and the goals continued to stack up, could you kind of see that confidence in the team?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the first times we go 3-0 up in a game, and at first we didn't know what to do, but in those type of games, you're not satisfied till the final whistle comes on, you know. But we really. It was a really good confidence builder for this Wednesday. So we took it from there, and the guys were really happy, and the job is not done. You know, the job is not done.
Absolutely not. The conference semifinals are coming up. The Toppers will take on number 2 seed Concord tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7 p.m. in Athens, West Virginia. These two teams split in the regular season. Again, the Toppers had a huge win over Concord when they were ranked number 10 in the country. This is the rubber match now to find out who moves on to the finals. What's the feeling with the team right now?
The team is really confident. We know we can get a result, but it's gonna be a battle because they get really strong at home. They have a field that is really difficult to play at. It's way more narrow than our field, and they really know what they do. They have a certain style that been keeping for the past 2 or 3 years, and they're really strong at what they do. They're really physical, and they know they've been in the national tournament, so they know how to play these type of games. So it's gonna be difficult from that standpoint, but I feel like our guys are really hungry. They want to win this game. They want to keep writing history. So it's gonna be a difficult match for both teams.
I'll tell you what, you're getting good at these coaches shows because the next question I was going to ask, you've already answered. I was going to ask about, I know the smaller field, a little bit of physicality.
Yeah.
If the Toppers would be ready
Yeah.
to handle that. Earlier this year kind of proves my question already. Yes, you got a victory over Concord already. You're ready for this. What is kind of the final message from the coaching staff to the players as they head in to take Concord for the third time this season?
I mean, it's a different speech of what we had last Sunday, because we already beat them. We already did the job. We already know how to do the job. So it's about who wants it more on Wednesday. It's about who shows up and who wants it more. They're gonna have an advantage because they didn't have to travel. They have all their people there. All their fans are gonna be there. But I feel like this West Liberty team kind of gets bigger in those difficult moments. So I'm really confident the guys are going to make a really good job.
Coach, you've got all the campus and all the Topper Nation cheering you on, rooting for you, wanting the best for you. Good luck tomorrow night. Again, this is going to be a great one. Toppers have another opportunity to make even more history for men's soccer here at West Liberty University against Concord. Again, that's tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. down at Athens, West Virginia. Folks, you can watch that, I believe, on the Mountain East Conference Digital Network. Be sure to tune in and cheer on these Toppers. Coach, good luck. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
And we will see you, maybe Coach Regan or you, whichever one, next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's to talk about another game coming up for the Toppers. Folks,
Absolutely.
stick around. We'll be right back for more on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics, brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling. I am Todd Allum. With me for this segment, head coach of men's and women's cross country here at West Liberty University, Michael Gwynn. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Big weekend this past week, or big week this past week. The Atlantic Regional Championships in Lock Haven, PA.
Yep.
We talked about this all year long, whether it was training during the season. How was the course in this one?
The course was good. You know, it ran a little slower than usual. Just I think it was a little wet. It got some rain the day before. I mean, it wasn't like slick or anything, but just for some reason it seemed like it ran a little bit slower than what it usually does. I mean, still the guys ran some really incredible times, but it just seemed like across the board, like I mean, the front guys ran very fast, right? But it just seemed like some in some areas you kind of got bogged down a little bit, and it didn't run as fast as what I have seen in the past.
Well, let's talk about Mac Allen a little bit.
Yeah, so Mac went out, and he had a goal of being all region again, right? Or wanting to be all region, and he went out there and executed almost to perfection, right? He got out very aggressive, was in the top 30 probably through the first mile, and he just kept climbing up and up and up and up. And Mac's a 10K runner, right? So he just it was just beautiful to see him execute that game plan to perfection. It was funny. After we were done, he's like, at about 6K, 7K, I was like, uh-oh, I'm hurting, right? But I was like, you couldn't tell it at all. Like, he just looked smooth. He looked very, very comfortable. And then at the end, he was catching people and passing people. And he ran with a big group of guys from our conference the entire time, guys that have been a little bit ahead of him this season, right? And was able to beat a few guys that he hasn't beat previously. So it was a huge confidence booster for him heading into the indoor and outdoor track. And for us, it was just a lot of fun to see him do so well. And then moving on to the other two seniors, Jasper and Francis. it's funny, they were kind of goating each other a little bit about who was going to beat who, and it was funny. Francis said, I'm going to run down the finishing chute. We'll be right side by side. He goes, but I'm going to get you at the end. And then he said, so I was asking him, I was asking him yesterday, and I was like, Francis, what happened? And I was like, I thought you said you were going to be able to get Jasper because you got that 800-meter speed, right? And he was like, Coach, he came flying by me and just took off, and I just didn't have it. He's like, I don't know where it came from. I've never seen Jasper run so hard in the last couple hundred meters in my life. So it was pretty funny. And those guys got such a good friendship. They've been roommates, our suite mates almost the entire time here. So they go back and forth all season. So it was fun to see that. Finishing up, giving each other high fives, hugging each other. So it's just it was a great thing to witness.
I can almost hear the laughter as he ran past.
Oh,
That's what I'm kind of
for sure.
imagining right now.
For sure. Well, they finished so close. I mean, they were 32-18. It's separated by a couple hundredths of a second, right? So it's they were just so close, which is just huge for our team goal, right? And then Zach Workman, our sophomore, he will be one of our leaders next year, right? Came in and early season had some issues with some Achilles injury, again Achilles a little bit of injury, and Zach's the whole background, had a great freshman cross-country campaign, went into indoor freshman first meet, ran in a PR in the 5K, a great time. And then we took our downtime, and something happened. He had some IT band issues, and he missed his whole indoor and outdoor season for his freshman year. So took us almost until the summer to get him back to even just running again, right? So then he got in some pretty good shape, came into camp in pretty good shape, ran good at camp, ran a great trial time, and then we had a little bit of an Achilles flare-up, so we kind of pumped the brakes and took a couple weeks down, and then he was playing catch-up the entire season, but he did well, running under 33:30 was a great time, and really helped our team do what they wanted to be. And then MJ, bringing in being fifth for us was huge. He kept 34 minutes, a little bit over 34 minutes for a freshman in the 10K. It was a great first 10K effort. And then Shep was right there. I think Shep got a little excited about midway in the race, and I was like, hey, you're close to Zach, try to move up to him. And he kind of threw this big surge in. I was like, oh, man, he's a lot of race left, right? So I think he kind of put himself in a little bit of a bind there, and then he kind of came back a little bit, and then he kind of climbed again a little bit. He's just young. All these guys we're talking about now are freshmen, so they're just very young, right? Finley Lauren more he's came into camp in very good shape. Was our number 2 guy at camp, right, in our time trial. Just learning the college running, the longer distance. He's I think his ceiling might be the 5K right now. I think he's going to continue to improve and get better at the 8K and 10K, and I think he is a 10K runner. He just doesn't know it yet. Yeah. Just got to get him to figure out how to run that race and just stay mentally engaged in the race. He's kind of wonders a little bit, if he's not with the group, then he's like, oh man, and you can just see it, just the eyes always wondering, not paying attention in a race. So we've had some conversations about that. We've been working on it for the last couple of weeks, and it'll get better. It'll continue to get better. So was really excited about the guys' finish, right? Go in there unranked in the region. We climbed in the rankings early in the season, and then we had some injuries. Finished 5th in the conference. Then we went up to the regional, and we were able to get 8th, right? So that's a huge honor for that. Probably the third. I think it's the third highest team finish that this school. Probably a couple teams have been in that 8th spot. I think we've had a couple teams in the 6th spot, and then we had a team in 7th my first year here, and then this year we were 8th, right? Improved from last year, so that was a great spot to be in. And they were just excited, right? So when they're excited like that, then I get excited, and just that whole group, they were running around like crazy, and the guys that weren't racing that were there, they're running all over the course, screaming at them, yelling, jumping up and down, and it was great for them to get that experience too. They see how big this race is, how much it means, right? Yep. So we're really excited with the way we finished our season. We know that conference course is really hard, and we train for the 10K. That's our thing. If we train for the 10K, we'll do well at the conference. We might not always go in there and be firing on 100% cylinders, but I think at the end of the day, the regional is the thing that will be remembered more in the history books than the conference for us right now. So that was a good way to put a stamp on the end of the season for the men. And then moving to the girls race. The girls race. We got out. We're in a really tough region on the women's side. So I was excited to see. Lacey was just off her PR. She's had a couple up and down injuries throughout the season. So for her to be really close to her PR was a great race. And then we got a bunch of freshman runners, and then senior Allie Hicks. I mean, can't say enough about senior Allie Hicks, right? She went in there, got a PR, ran great. It was awesome to watch her be so competitive, and just a great way to end her her senior season in cross. Couldn't have asked her for her to do more than what she did up there. We had a couple freshmen that I think the bigness of the race got to them a little bit, right? So they kind of got out a little fast, and then they were like, "Oh man, I've never been here before. I'm hurting a little bit." I kind of got on them in the middle of the race, and they already responded, which is great as a coach to see them respond like that, right? So they responded to what I told them to do, and they climbed. Like they caught people the entire race once they figured that part of it out. So that was a lot of fun to see. So I think the future's really bright on that women's side. We're very, very young. We'll bring back Lacey next year. She'll be a senior, in the nursing program, so we'll have to navigate that a little bit with her clinical hours. But just having that group. And then we're hoping to add a few big time recruits here over the next couple months, and if we do that, we'll be in a good position to chase after even continuing to improve our regional ranking or our regional finish. We climbed like 1 or 2 spots this year in the region from where we were last year, and it's just a process, right? So we just keep climbing, and as that team matures and gets stronger, we'll just keep seeing that group move up the chart there, and I think we'll be doing really well.
This is our final show for cross country for the year. Luckily for us, though, and a lot of these seniors on this cross country team as well, won't be the final time that you and I speak. We've got indoor coming up. And for a lot of these runners, they'll have their indoor and outdoor as well for a lot of these distance runners. So we'll be speaking their names still a little bit, or at least a handful of them we'll still be talking about.
I'm very excited about the the indoor side of things as well. We kind of pivot now, give them an extra day off here this week just because of that 10K and that big time race. So they're all, a little banged up. So we moved our workout to tomorrow. We give them a little bit of time to recover and, a little bit of a lighter workout tomorrow with practice. And then, we'll have a little bit harder workout Saturday. And then next week we'll kind of dial into like what their races are going to be at this first indoor meet. We kind of want to go into this indoor meet and try to put down a really good time because we're really fit right now, right? So put down a good time to help us get a decent ranking in the conference. Top 16 make it to the conference championship. So if we can go in and put a top 8 or 10 or 12 time on the books, that will maybe hold through the whole season, right? What happens in this conference is a lot of the teams will put down these times right now, and that's kind of the best time they'll put down until the very end of indoors. And a couple of people might sneak in there, but once we finish this first indoor race, we'll start our downtime, give them a couple weeks off just to rest and recover. While they're doing finals and then Christmas time and things like that, and then we start back training. They'll start building their base mileage again, and then we'll get right into track workouts. So.
And I got to believe, at least in my experience of, again, I'm not a runner, I'm a big dude. I don't enjoy running ever. But running outdoor and then coming indoor, I feel like the breathing would be a lot easier indoors.
No, it's actually harder.
Okay.
So because you got you get in these big buildings, there's not great ventilation, right?
Gotcha.
So it's hot in there, right? So then your lungs burn, because if you like a wrestler, like you get to wrestle and your lungs get really hot and burn. So some of these races you'll see they'll open the back. For the last 3K race, they might open the back garage door and let some of that cold air in, which is really nice. But during most of the meet, they keep it pretty warm in there because you got a lot of people, spectators and stuff. So it can be. I mean, it's something that you definitely have to get used to, right? The first time you do it, you come out and you're like, man, my lungs are just burning the entire time, and you get that sore hoarseness and stuff like that. So definitely a learning experience for some of the freshmen they'll have to undergo. But some of them ran indoor before, so it won't be a huge adjustment. But we go to this first indoor meet. We'll go in there and we're going to line up with Division 1, 2, and 3 and NAIA teams. We'll walk into the door at Youngstown State and we'll see University of Pittsburgh there. We'll see, possibly see Duquesne, Robert Morris, teams like that. We'll see all the Division 2 teams from our conference there, and all the ones from around the area, Ashland, and you'll see even some of the Division III schools as well, like Grove City, Franciscan, Washington Jefferson. So we'll see a ton of competition at these races, right? And then this first one at Youngstown is such a great facility and such a big meet, it just gets packed in there. I mean, they cram us in there like sardines. I mean, you got your team camp, and you get the next team camp, and it's just everywhere. So it's a lot of fun. You just see a lot of people that your high school teammates will be there and things like that. So kind of the cool thing about the distance side of it is the camaraderie and just knowing everybody and cheering everybody on. So it's a lot of fun to see.
Well, Coach, it's been great having you on for cross country this year. I can't really say I'm going to miss you because we're going to see each other very soon for indoor and outdoor. You are the new coach, no days off for this season because you will be here through all 3 sporting seasons. Again, Coach Gwynn and cross country for men's and women's season is over. Mac Allen had a great year, along with Lacey Dimmitt, Allie Hicks, Jasper Brown, Francis Toohey, the seniors. Congratulations to them on a great season. We'll see them doing some distance running in indoor and outdoor coming up later on this year as well. Coach, again, thank you for being here this
Thanks
week.
for having me.
And we will see you very soon for indoor. Folks, stick around. We have more coming up on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.
From humble beginnings in 1837, West Liberty University has been home to thousands of students. Whether you're a recent high school graduate or looking to complete a college degree later in life, starting your educational career at West Liberty University will be the catalyst for your future. This is a place where you will discover who you are and where you belong, surrounded by lifelong friends and a supportive faculty and staff. Start your journey home at westliberty.edu.
Welcome back to Inside Hilltopper Athletics, brought to you by Day and Night Heating and Cooling. I am Todd Allum. With me for this segment, head coach of women's volleyball, Mackenzie Johnson. Welcome back, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, it's been a great year so far. The Toppers have done extremely well for themselves. They they get to stay home, not go up to Pittsburgh. They get to stay home and play Point Park. That's, I believe, the last game where we left off.
Yep.
Okay, so the Toppers sweep this, not only the season sweep, but in this game itself, 25-18, 25-16, 25-15. Things seem to go pretty well for the Toppers in this one. Your thoughts on it, and again, a stellar performance for West Liberty.
Yeah, I think it's super exciting to see, like, in those sweeps, obviously, we aim to get better no matter who the opponent is, but you can see that in the set scores too. And, our hitting percentage, it goes up. Our side-out percentage, it goes up. We might start off on the wrong foot or a little bit slow, in that match a little bit there against Point Park, but, we continue to get better, and I think that, the players that we have on the court and on the bench continue to show up every day.
And again, this one was a fun one to watch. Cudnick led all players with 17 kills, 17.5 points. Dakota Kenny had 34 assists for the West Liberty offense. Hill had 6 blocks, 10.5 points. A great job for West Liberty in this one. What was the message for the Toppers after this ball game, or after this match?
Yeah, I think that for us, it's just continuing to take care of business. I think, we talk about all the time post-game, we're playing for 3 matches and we're competing for 3 matches, and those 3 matches are in our conference tournament. So that was kind of, the message there last week after that Point Park match is, yes, we did good. Yes, we took care of business, but, this is a team that's not necessarily going to make the tournament. So, looking ahead, we have to continue to prepare for those 3 matches that we'll face next week. Yeah.
Well, after Point Park, the Toppers would have to go to Fairmont State, a rival in all sports and everything here at West Liberty, but also in volleyball. Unfortunately, in this one, the Toppers went to the limits in this one. It was a back-and-forth affair, would end up falling in this one in a 2-3 loss. Set scores were 25-23, 25-22, 24-26, 22-25, and then 10-15. Everything was close and down to the wire. Frustrating for a coach, and any time you lose a close one. What was kind of the feeling throughout this match?
Yeah, I think, for those first 2 sets, we felt like we were in control, and as the match went on and, Fairmont kind of found their footing there, we started to, have a little bit less and less control as the match went on. The momentum started to shift. They had a big crowd. A lot of their parents were out there. So it was a fun environment to compete in, but, all in all, I think our offense, they started to slow down our offense a little bit more in the last 3 sets of that match, and we couldn't stop their offense there.
Yeah, in this one, Kudnick was able to get 21 kills, 17 digs, finished with 23.5 points. Good job for Dakota Kenny as well. She had 56 assists and 15 digs. The Toppers would move on. We'll move on from this one. Back to tonight, November 11th. Frostburg State comes to the ASRC at 7 p.m. What can we expect to see from Frostburg in this one?
They're a very aggressive serving team, so that's something that we struggled with when we played at their place earlier this season, but they're a good blocking team because they're a good serving team. So if we can, do our jobs, in serve receive with that first contact and take care of that third contact, we'll be in a really good position to hopefully, go on some runs tonight.
And is tonight the final home game of the season?
It is, yeah.
And
I'm
it'll
really
be
sad about it.
Senior night, I believe?
Senior night we celebrated senior night against State.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we do that really just, we have players that are further away. So a Friday night senior night is a lot better than a Tuesday night senior night for travel.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't put a lot of pressure on our very last home game, which I know the girls appreciate. But yeah, tonight's our last one in the ASRC. The crowds have been great this year. A lot of the girls like to see their friends and their families in the stands. So, we're definitely going to miss playing at the ASRC this year.
And again, Frostburg coming into this one. It's going to be a big one for West Liberty, trying to get back on track. And again, it's kind of this game where you want to get a win because, for you, not looking ahead, but for Topper Nation and the fans at home, Wheeling is coming up Friday. But I got a feeling that everybody knows that's what's happening, but we got to focus on Frostburg.
Yeah, kind of like I said, I think I said this in last week's show, is we got to win the day. So today we're 0-0, and we got to look to be, 1-0 by the time we lay our heads to rest on the pillow. So, we worked hard in practice yesterday. The girls had a restful weekend, so hopefully we can come back and bounce back from our Friday loss against Fairmont.
And as this team kind of prepares for the postseason Mountain East Conference tournament, things of that nature, has anything been done differently in practice, or just the way you kind of, amp up the team as the weeks get closer?
I think the biggest thing is, expanding our hitters' toolboxes. Obviously, we're playing the same teams that we played all season. We're scouting the same teams. So how can we continue to expand our offensive range? I think our defense and I think our blocking and serve receive has, progressively gotten better as the season went on. So that's something that we're looking, to kind of sustain there. But offensively, we've been working to expand our toolbox and our range a little bit.
And it's been fun. Again, it's been fun to watch this team all season long. I've got no doubt in my mind that this team will be ready to go when the moment is ready, and that seems to be coming up tonight. Again, November 11th, Tuesday, Frostburg State here at the ASRC. And I guess you could say talk about the seniors a little bit. Just I know it's not senior night, but their final game at home, just kind of what they've brought to the table in their careers here at West Liberty.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal leaders off and on the court. I think that they set the standard of, who West Liberty is off of the court, academically, socially around campus. Ashley is an ambassador. Jaren's very involved with her nursing program. Grace is a great placement teacher at West Elementary. Bella Dart, she's, finishing up in the dental hygiene program. And Liv McAtee, she's part of SGA and she stays involved. So I think, them laying the foundation of who West Liberty volleyball is outside of the court and who we are known to be on campus is kind of on them. They set the foundation for that for, the girls following them and the underclassmen, to kind of build on that. But, on the court, they brought it all. I think that they give this team, a different purpose this year. I think that, they always, show up remembering their why, as why they're playing, why they're competing. And honestly, they love each other. They love to play together. They love the impact that they get to have, like on our freshmen, on our recruits. So, obviously we're not at the end yet, but there's going to be a lot to miss from that senior class.
And I've got a feeling our opinions on this are probably going to be different, but in my mind, it feels like this season has just flown past.
Yes, I 100% agree. I always say that fall goes faster than spring, and then spring comes, and spring goes faster than fall. So, I feel like we just got back from Ashland 2 weeks ago. And now we're, prepping for our conference tournament next weekend. So it's really crazy how fast these weeks go, but I think that just, goes to show when you're always looking forward, you never really know like what kind of has happened in the past. So when you're always preparing for the next opponent and, competing in 4 to 5 matches a week, you definitely lose track of time there.
And I wanted to ask you this as well, and it gets done with a lot of sports nowadays. But right before the postseason begins, you've got one of your biggest rivals, at least in terms of school and proximity, and Wheeling University. Do you like having games with big rivals right before the playoffs start?
Honestly, I don't mind it. It kind of, gets us ready for that championship environment and that championship feel where, every match in the tournament is going to feel like a rival match versus, having two maybe opponents who aren't super big rivals or maybe an opponent who isn't necessarily positioned to make the tournament. I think that it's really important to continue to push ourselves and compete going into next week. So, I don't mind it. It's pretty fun too. And it's a travel trip, but it's only 20 minutes away. So I get home a lot sooner.
I will take that every time. I used to travel, so yes, I would take that in a heartbeat. Coach, thank you again for being with us today. Folks, be sure to get up here tonight. If you're watching this the day that it gets released, Tuesday, November 11th, get up to the ASRC, 7 p.m. It will be the final time you can watch this team play at the ASRC in a home game. So be sure to get up here and watch them take on Frostburg State again. Coach, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Stick around, folks. We've got one segment left here on Inside Hilltopper Athletics.